We are go.
Okay, with that, we will call the October 1st, 2020 Marquette City Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. Andrea, for roll call, just if you could make note of who is here on the call in the visual.
And then Dunn is excused.
Yeah, we did have an excused absence. I saw that email. Has everyone had a chance to take a peek at the minutes from September 3rd and September 17th from our special meeting?
I'd like to make a motion to support and file both.
I believe we had a motion for Mr. Vasso and a second from Mr. Dombrowski, who was muted.
Yes, sorry, Matt. Second.
That's okay. All in favor of passing the motion, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. Motion carries. Any additions or deletions from the agenda?
I don't have any.
Okay. First item up on the agenda is citizens wishing to address the board. Do we have anyone in the waiting room?
The only person in the waiting room is the applicant. Do you want me to bring them in now while you're moving on?
Why don't we bring them in as I continue talking?
Okay.
We're going to go ahead and move to item number 2, public hearings. 10-VAR-10-20, 214 North 6th Street. Andrea, if you could give us the background on that.
The Board of Zoning Appeals is being asked to review an application for variances from the City of Marquette Land Development Code Special Land Use Required Conditions for a duplex dwelling unit. The existing single-family home does not meet the 10-foot side yard condition for the existing home setback to the north side lot line and the 6,000 square foot lot area requirement when proposing to convert a single-family home to a duplex dwelling unit. Attached to the agenda was the staff file report. As you can see on screen, and highlighted the items requesting a variance, and the application submitted by the applicant with their support documentation. The area map, the parcel here is outlined in blue. The block map, again, the parcel is outlined in blue. Photos of the site. Survey, and then one piece of correspondence was submitted that are in support. Are there any questions?
No questions for me. Any questions for staff? None. Okay. Why don't we let the applicant talk now and just kind of explain what she is trying to do. If you could first state your name and address for the record, that would be great.
Thank you. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can.
Okay. My name is Susan Kelly. I inherited my folks' home and wasn't really sure that it was a duplex or not, and assumed it was because of the design of the home that it's currently in, and found out through different correspondence with the City of Marquette that it was not indeed a duplex. So I did pay, I think I paid one fine, and I wanted to make sure that I did things right, got it to the duplex status, because I did talk to a realtor before I decided to rent it that stated that if we sold it, he would get back to me and let me know what kind of structure it was. And he said, well, we would sell it as a duplex. So those two things kind of made me think that it wasn't totally my fault, that I didn't realize that it wasn't. And so I'm going through the process of getting it to where it's a duplex status, so that if I do eventually sell it, that's kind of what it would be. It's set up for, it's got downstairs, it's got 3 doors to enter, and upstairs it's got 2 doors to enter. So everything's kind of in line for it to be as such, but legally I need to get it to where you folks will agree to that. So
Excellent. Do we have any questions for the applicant at this time, board?
guess I do have a question. So you don't currently reside at that property?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay. And it's always been used. Has it ever been rented out before, or was it always just in the
No.
family and somebody lived
Oh.
upstairs, or?
It's always been in the family. The only time so my folks bought it from my aunt in 1988. My aunt had my grandmother upstairs, and her and her husband lived downstairs. Now, of course, my grandmother wouldn't pay rent because that was her home in the first place. And I always wonder why they put a 75-year-old woman upstairs who had to walk up and down stairs. But it is bigger downstairs, so I get it. They did have a child. So that's the only type of two families that lived there at that point. And then, of course, when I took care of my parents and I moved from Wisconsin to help them out in the last years of their life, I lived upstairs too, but I didn't pay rent either. You know, it was just taking care of them. So, but it is separate bathrooms, separate kitchens, and living room.
Entrances. Okay. Thank
Both
you.
have 2 bedrooms. Yep.
Any other questions for the applicant? Not seeing any. So with that, I'm going to open up a public hearing for 10-VAR-10-20. Andrea, do we have anyone in the waiting room?
There's no one in the waiting room.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing for 10-VAR-10-20 then. Board members, do we have comments amongst each other? Yeah, Barb, go ahead.
I think this is very similar to another one that we did on, what was that? Bluff Street? Back in like April. It was always kind of like a 2-family home, but it never was actually, the city didn't have it as a 2-family home. I don't know if you remember that. It was, I think it was back in April or May that they came. I guess this kind of seems like the same situation. And that is an area where 2-family homes are allowed, right?
As a special land use.
Any other questions? Board members, comments? Yeah, Mr. Vasso.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to bring up a couple points I noticed. When I look at this whole thing, this has always been an attempt to regulate off-campus housing, which I think that becomes an issue once that becomes the issue in of itself. Like the police are called a bunch of times, you have an animal house type atmosphere, if you will. I support the request. I think it's just one of these things. If you can put the pictures up real quick.
I won't rent to college kids.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's my parents' home. And I will not. I told Andrea that place means a lot to me. My mother died there. I will not rent to college kids. I've got 2 adult families in there that have children and that are working, and I just won't. I was a college kid myself, so I get it.
Yes, but if you can put the pictures up of the property, please. And if you look at the pictures real close, you see a lot of slanted roofs. I think this is like a 1.5 story. And I don't think it's as big as it seems as far as like a large duplex. If they'd say upstairs, so it's all put together. I'm just looking at a lot of slant roofs, a lot of 1.5 stories, a lot of bumping your head and stuff maybe. So I just think, one of the things I always look at too is you're increasing the housing stock, which is the goal of most comprehensive plans. And she's just trying to get on board with the whole review process. I think ultimately it's a minimum request, 5,000 square feet versus 6,000 square feet. I think it's all said and done. I can support the request, and that's really all I have to say. I concur with the application and very stuff that has come before it. So other than that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vasso. Anyone else want to make some comments on this? And as we're looking at this, I just want to remind us all, we need to make sure we're looking at this stuff individually. And just a note to the applicant, we obviously know that you are not going to rent to college kids, but we don't know what's going to happen after you're gone. And that's kind of the issue of looking at this from a zoning standpoint, because once it's zoned a certain way, then that is the law at that point. So I want to make sure we're able to review this, make sure it does meet the standards that we've set forth. So does anyone want to discuss more on those standards?
So I think there is some argument to use being, being a factor in this, and that it's always been split up this way. There's separate kitchens, there's those things, and kind of what Mr. Vasso was saying of the way it's set up. It's not kind of set up to be a huge property. I like that it has sufficient parking and driveway and those kind of things that we think about when we think about tight spaces. So although it's only 1,000 square feet off, it seems to be not stamping the whole property. So I contend in some part of it, it's, the applicant didn't build the house and build the second unit there. So, I'm pretty, and it's kind of unique to the land there, because again, it's kind of a narrow lot. So I felt like it was a pretty good use of space there. So I don't know, that's what I have to start with, I guess. So.
Thanks, Heather. I guess I'll make a comment. I mean, as I look just at our standards, A through J, I do believe the applicant is meeting most of these standards pretty easily, just because she is inheriting this property. And I think it's kind of a difficult ask to ask anyone who's inheriting a property to change it into something it already isn't. We all have kind of seen the photos and what the layout of the land is, and heard the applicant and know that this thing is already kind of set up to be a duplex. As we look at, rights of similar properties in the same district, if we look at the lot line, it's a very interesting lot, especially as opposed to other properties on 6th Street. And there isn't really a neighbor that's going to be affected by this, as far as I'm concerned, after looking at it, driving by it. So I don't know that, making this a duplex is going to really mess with any of the standards that we've set forth, in my opinion. And I do think that, as I look at this myself, I think that the variance request is extremely minimal. And it's something that is as minimal as it possibly could be. So I do think the standards are met, and myself, I could support this. Anybody else want to make a comment, or Mr. Vasso?
Just looking at my notes here again, something I'd like to just bring up. Already present on the property is a garage, patio, stairs. The parking it accommodates. So I think that's something kind of important, because every now and then we get these requests that start to pop up where they need a variance request for a garage, or a variance. Well, they want to put up a patio and then request another variance, but they already have this stuff up. So I think that's a plus too. And again, it's increasing the housing stock at the same time. So again, I concur with the application and can support the request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vasso. Anyone have any other comment, or would anyone like to make a motion at this point? Yeah, Barb, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion, but I don't have the wording in front of me for the motion, because I don't have my phone with the meeting minutes on it.
She can put it up.
Can you put it up?
There you go.
Okay. Thank you for making it bigger. After conducting a public hearing and review of where are we here? Yeah. After review of the staff report analysis for 10 VAR 1020, the Board of Zoning Appeals finds that the request demonstrates the standards found in section 54-1404B5A through J of the Land Development Code, and hereby approves 10 VAR 1020.
Support. Oops.
We recommend that condition right below it.
Oh, that the applicant must receive special land use approval from the Planning Commission for the dwelling as presented.
All right, thank you.
like to support the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and support with the special following condition that the applicant must receive special land. Oh, sorry, Andrea, you took
Land use
that away.
approval from the planning commission for a duplex dwelling.
Thank you so much. As I was
Sorry.
reading that. That's okay. We have a motion and support. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
I,
Any opposed?
Aye.
None. The motion carries. Your variance is granted,
Thank
and
you.
make sure you get with the planning commission for the next steps, okay?
I already have that application. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
All right.
Okay, well, we can get back to our agenda now.
Do you need me any further or no?
No, you can leave. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.
You too. Unfinished
Yes.
business, I believe we have none, right?
Correct.
New business, none?
Correct.
No citizens in the waiting room?
Nope.
Great.
Motion to
Any-
adjourn.
Do we have any board member comment? Anyone want to say anything
Oh,
tonight?
sorry.
is there stuff on the agenda for next month already, Andrea, or what is that looking like? Do you know?
So far, I don't have anything. No, because nobody submitted today. So
Yep.
yeah, unless something comes up that we'd have to do administratively, it looks like November would be canceled or.
Thanks.
It's about time. That's all I
Yeah,
got to say.
I just say we've been doing a lot.
Well, great.
that's it.
Anyone else want to say anything before we adjourn?
Have a nice evening.
Thank
too.
you all.
All right.
All right. We will adjourn, and I will see you guys next month, or
Maybe.
maybe in a couple. We'll see.
All right.
All right.
Sounds
Take
good.
care, guys.
Thanks.
right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Andrea.
you, everybody.
Night.
Have a good night, everybody.
You too.
Night.